One of you asked for me to do a video talking about my eating disorder, which I haven't really talked a lot about, but I talked about it in my veganism video. I used to compulsive overeat. I used to binge eat a lot. Instead, I'm going to talk about depression because that honestly is my most constant state of being, is just being depressed. Even if I'm out and doing something, even if I'm like happy, the overall feeling is depression. I know anxiety manifests differently for everyone, and I feel very almost used to my anxiety. Like, I just breathe through it, just witness and watch it. It's definitely uncomfortable, but it's just more of an inconvenience than this like extremely life-altering experience like it used to be when I would self-harm.
Basically, the point of this video is I'm gonna have to share a bit of my own experience of what I went through with my own binge eating disorder for many years of my life. It's not just the depression, it's the anxiety. I know for a fact that when my anxiety is very, very high, it makes me feel physically sick.
First off, I want to say that my eating disorder story, both my anorexia and orthorexia, that I'll make a video about it in the future, are more elaborated in my ebook.
Those of you who don't know, I've been struggling my whole life with depression and anxiety and all those nasty things, and I have borderline personality disorder and blah 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 blah.
It's this belief that dieting is one of the causes of eating disorders. So I wanted to make this its own video to, number one, talk about it from my own perspective as someone who had an eating disorder. I'm pretty lucky. I have depression, but it's managed very well with my medications. Many of you know I'm on antidepressants, but that's more for stress, anxiety, anger issues, stuff like that. And that manages that pretty well.
Diagnosed with eating disorders myself, clinically diagnosed by psychiatrists, psychologists, and binge eating disorder and anorexia. At one point my body mass index was in the anorexic range, classified me as anorexic, and my eating so much fruit is classified, even still today, a binge eating disorder. So technically, clinically today, I still have an eating disorder, I still have a binge eating disorder, because if I sit down and eat 10 mangoes, which is about 1,000 calories, that's technically binge eating.
I have had depression. I've had clinical suicidal depression. Tim's never even been diagnosed. I was diagnosed. I had a clinical diagnosis here. Anxiety is a feeling of what I'm reading this off the screen. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. And I've been diagnosed with a lot of stuff. I really can't tell. A lot of stuff. And one of them was called GAD, G-A-D, Generalized Anxiety Disorder, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, etc. So I clinically can speak from experience, alright?
So my eating disorders started a long time ago. I was starving myself, but then I really binge out like crazy. I mean, like 6,000 calories in a day, 7,000 calories of junk food in a day. So I was vomiting a lot, and I couldn't control my appetite any longer. So I'd absolutely spew everything up. Most of my meals I was vomiting, and I really did a lot of damage to my body, really. I lost a tooth, I got a couple of fillings, you know, because the vomit was coming up and dissolving my teeth, basically.
If you are sick of being depressed, then you really have to step up and take care of your daily sugar, water, sleep requirements. I can speak from personal experience that these are the 3 fundamentals that your sanity depends on. You know, if you have anxiety or anything like that, this is really good for relaxation.
I know we've both struggled with tendencies towards not just alcoholism, but binging and restricting, especially for me with food, if you've watched my vegan transformation story. Anxiety and stress and depression, which we've both dealt with in very real ways, it doesn't ever just completely go away, you know, it's always lingering back there.
As someone who used to have an eating disorder and used to just come from a place of restricting my food and being, you know, feeling like I never really could eat as much as I wanted to, this was super appealing to me. The idea that I could eat until I was full, and if I was hungry in 2 hours, I could eat again. I've struggled with depression in the past. It really helps to kind of ease anxiety. It gets you really focused in the moment.
I fell into a really bad eating disorder.
I have clinical depression.
It helps me so much with my anxiety. If you didn't know, As you may or may not know, I used to struggle with binge eating disorder, anxiety and depression.
My eating disorder story, depression or anxiety.
Stop! The question is, hey Katie, as the vegan community continues to grow on social media, I've noticed that a lot of people who end up turning vegan come from a past of struggling with an eating disorder. That got me thinking, if them embracing veganism is eating disorder driven, since plant foods are relatively low in calories / fat, etc. I don't claim that every person who's vegan is affected by an eating disorder, but I was just wondering if their recovery isn't really that, since they don't eat calorically dense animal products at all. Have to agree with this, that when we turn vegan as a way to recover from an eating disorder, I feel like we're just trading one eating disorder behavior for another.
Have you wondered whether there are particular vitamins that can help treat depression or anxiety, or whether vitamin deficiencies can play a role in mental health? So let's discuss the first vitamin for depression and anxiety, vitamin B12. Now, vitamin B12 is an important vitamin that plays a key role in the nervous system and is involved in the production of serotonin and other neurotransmitters. Vitamin B12 concentrations have been found to be lower in depressed patients than non-depressed patients. And lower B12 has also been observed in obsessive compulsive disorder. A vitamin B12 deficiency is associated with symptoms such as weakness, fatigue, depression and anxiety, numbness or tingling in fingers, legs or feet, difficulty walking or balance problems, anemia, a swollen tongue or an inflamed tongue, difficulty thinking and memory loss. The most common causes of a B12 deficiency are gastric surgery, pernicious anemia, celiac disease or Crohn's disease. A diet low in vitamin B12 foods such as vegan, vegetarian or low red meat diets are another major cause. Vitamins for depression and anxiety. Number 2, folate. Folate or vitamin B9 is another vitamin deficiency that can play a role in mental health. Folate, like vitamin B12, is important for the central nervous system. It is key for serotonin and neurotransmitter synthesis through the process of methylation and due to its role in tetrahydrobiopterin production. Patients diagnosed with major depression have lower concentrations of folate compared to other people, and it's found that the lower they are in folate, the more severe and prolonged the depression. Furthermore, if you have low folate, it's more likely that you won't respond to antidepressant medications. They describe this as being treatment resistant. Interestingly, a special form of folate called methylfolate is used as an antidepressant medication in the United States. It is available worldwide as a supplement too. The symptoms of a folate deficiency include fatigue, weakness, lethargy, pale skin, shortness of breath, depression and irritability. The third vitamin for depression and anxiety that I want to mention today is vitamin D. Vitamin D is a steroid vitamin made by your body when your skin is exposed to the sun, so it's often referred to as the sun vitamin. It's most known for its role in calcium absorption and keeping our bones strong. And more recently, research shows that it's also important for the immune system, for muscles, the heart and lungs. It has anti-cancer effects and is important for brain development and mood too. Vitamin D is necessary for creating serotonin and dopamine, and these are two important brain chemicals that are described as being calming or happy hormones.